Were you on set when they would have like the like wild like guest stars like Cher, Madonna,
Sure. I
Britney?
wasn't there for Cher. I was there for Madonna. I was there for Britney. Cher is the only one I wasn't there for. Yes.
Can we talk about the Madonna and Britney appearances? Like,
Brittany was wonderful. She was lovely and very funny, and I really liked her. And I really remember feeling badly. It was at a time where people were, in the press were very fixated on her in a not a great way. And I was like, why? Like she was so sweet and so funny and natural on the show. Everybody loved her. Yeah, she was great.
one of SNL's best hosts, like
Oh
back
yeah, I
in
don't see. I didn't
2000.
even know that. No, but
Yeah.
yeah, she was just naturally terrific too.
And
Easy.
tell me about Madonna.
What do you want to know?
Like, how was she? Like, could she remember her lines?
Yeah, yeah. She was game. Yeah, she was funny. It was funny. It was funny. I remember, I will say this, she was funny. And we wrote a thing. Karen gets a job. I think she decides to get a job for whatever reason. She gets a job in an office and she meets somebody in the office and they become like best girlfriends. And the idea was that this character Madonna plays was supposed to be one of the women at the time. I don't know if people even still do it. You wear sneakers to the office, you carry your shoes in your bag, you bring your salad in your Tupperware for lunch. You go out with the girls on Thursday nights for margaritas. You wear an Ann Taylor too. Sure, is it Ann Klein too or whatever? I'm in the city. She lives outside of the city. That kind of woman, a real like that was the idea of it. And Madonna as that person would be super funny, but I don't think she wanted to dress the way that person would. So as a result, she had like really long blonde hair extensions and kind of fabulous kind of outfits and stuff. So I was like, oh, this is like 50% less funny now. I was like, too bad. It could have been really funny, but she's
Yeah.
not going to do that. She's Madonna, so she needs to, you know, look how she feels comfortable looking, which I get totally, so,
Yeah.
whatever. But I was like, not as funny.
I know you wrote the episode where they flash back to Will and Jack, sort of like as like baby gays in the 80s.
Yeah, there were two episodes of that though. The first one, the one you might be referring to, it might not be the one I wrote. Because the one that was more, popular. So I might not have written. I don't want to take credit for anything that I did not do.
I know how writers' rooms work, and like showrunners, and like sort of the top down control. That really it's the showrunner that has ultimate control. You guys are all assigned episodes to write, but I'm curious, were there any moments or storylines that really came from you?
There were two that I think that come to mind when you say that from my life. One was silly, kind of. I always loved Blythe Danner as Will's mother. I just thought she was fun. I liked him with her too. And Grace goes over to her house, to Will's mom's house, and she breaks a figurine that was in there, and she's freaked out. And Will is freaked out because it was like her favorite Yadro figurine that she collected. And that's something that happened. I broke in my house. My sister and I kind of broke my mother's favorite Yadro figurine, and we went like into a tailspin. And so that kind of, and they were so funny with that. And it was just a really kind of silly, kind of a fun thing, but that, sometimes something that really happened to you kind of translates into something. And then there was another episode where Will, after his father dies, it was in the last season of the show, I thought Eric and Blythe were so wonderful. There's a scene in her laundry room, and it was kind of based a little bit on my feeling of he feels like his mother has never really asked him enough about his life.
Mm-hmm.
And then she kind of responds, because you never tell us anything, because you keep everything so kind of close. And they have this kind of conversation, and it felt very kind of real, and it was nice. It was this sense of, wanting like people to really, know you. And sometimes you don't allow people to know you. And it works both ways. And it felt real to also their relationship, because she was, kind of a little bit more reserved, his mother, and the way that we played her. And it really allowed them this kind of moment to break through. I always loved on the show because the show never had any problem being like super, super funny. I liked the moments of real humanity between them when the characters kind of, when you really kind of had that. I always really loved those moments.
What was the writing process like at Will and Grace? Like, was it like typical like Sex in the City where like you break it? Like, did you break the season and then just every writer was assigned an episode the way?
Well, you get
typical-
assigned episodes, but you don't necessarily break the whole season at once. I think that show was, more kind of soap opera like, and it's a single camera show. So a multicam is more joke heavy too, especially that show was very joke heavy. So we would break the stories. We typically would write in two different rooms, like there were maybe 10 writers on the show, 5 and 5. We would sit and write in two different rooms. And we'd punch up the scripts kind of that way. And then on show nights, which was very unique to Will and Grace, I don't know any show that did it to that extent. Between takes, we would do one take with the script as written. And then any joke that didn't quite land or that we felt we could beat, then we would all kind of gather in a huddle. And it kind of became fun and competitive. And everybody would try to beat the jokes that we earmarked as we could possibly beat. And we would spend this, and we do it in, it's time constraint of like 10 minutes. And then the ones that won, the best pitches, then somebody would go in and give them to the actors, like this is the new line. And they were extraordinary. I mean, we did it like that for 8 years. And they were also like, you can't imagine how all of them were so brilliant at taking, going into the scene, taking, and the lines weren't always short, and a whole new thing and going, and then doing another pass through it with all these new jokes in it. And it kept the show, it kept a kind of, like it's kept it fizzy. I felt like It kept the show fizzy. It was something I like. I've done it. I did a show that I created with Ian McKellen and Derek Jacobi called Vicious. And I did that, that's something that, between takes, I would, not to the extent that we did it on Will and Grace, because there was, a whole staff of people, but that was a very special part of the show. And oftentimes the new jokes often stayed in the script. And so what the audiences are seeing is something, a joke that might've been written literally 5 minutes before it was said. And that makes it feel very alive sometimes, I think. And I feel like for a successful multicam show, it needs to have that kind of life in it to make it be a thing that feels really special.
Yeah, the show definitely has an air of like spontaneity to it.
Yeah,
I mean, which definitely,
true.
Which is definitely the combination of the writing and also the acting. Like they were so perfectly cast to perform in that way.
Well, they're brilliant. You always want to work with, actors that are better than the writing. You want actors that elevate. I'm always happy to. I'm like, great actors will always kind of lift it.
The final thought I have about like TV writing, and I guess Will and Grace, it would be like a specific example of this. Reboots. Like I'm thinking like, and just like that, Will and Grace, The L Word. In plain language, why are reboots never good?
I don't know. I have to say, I'm not a nostalgic person. Like I'm not. It's not my. I like things to finish. That's just personally. I like when something ends and it has an ending, and I like that. I think things have a natural end. I just think people, especially now, I think there's a certain thing where people like the comfort of characters that they love and they miss. It's like, it's a nice kind of a thing, that people want to spend more time with these people, So I think nostalgia, it comes in waves too. I think we didn't call them reboots, but there were times where they would revisit Little House on the Prairie, or whatever, so I think there were versions of it all throughout time. You want to check in on people, I guess, that you realize, that you cared for these characters and you miss.